All right, welcome back everyone. Dr. Ben, not a real doctor here. Today let's talk a little bit about training your diaphragm. I first learned about forced exhales, I think probably first, from Pavel Tsatsouline in the early 2000s when he was first coming into America and introducing kettlebells more to mainstream. I've done a little bit of practice with it, but recently from the book Breathe, I learned about a new way to get a little bit more out of your forced exhale. In the book Breathe, Carl Stoff, I'm guessing that's how you pronounce it, was a choir teacher that helped people with emphysema maximize their lung capacity so they could lead normal lives. Now, I've done a lot of forced exhales, but this little tiny trick made a big difference and allowed me to go even further with my forced exhales to maximize my exhales. It's a pretty simple technique, so let's talk about it real quick. So the normal way I practice a forced exhale is you take a big, deep breath, as big as you can, stretch everything out, and then you forcefully expel all the air in your lungs and try and drive your diaphragm up into your thoracic cavity and push as much air as possible. It's basically impossible to push all the air out of your lungs, which is a good thing because if you did, you would end up with 2 collapsed lungs and it would be very bad for your future. So it looks like this. And you do that till basically you pass the point where you think you can't do anymore. You keep pushing, and keep pushing. And once you get to that final little bit, you hold it there at the end, and then your inhale will happen naturally. You don't have to breathe in your lungs. When that diaphragm relaxes, your lungs are just gonna expand and you're gonna suck air in. Hi, bud. I don't know if you can see Balder down here. He's wandering around. All right. The little trick that I picked up from Carl Stoff to help get more volume out of the lungs, he actually recommends counting down counting up from 1 to 10 the whole time you're exhaling. First very loudly, and then obviously as you run out of air, it will be quieter and quieter until you're basically just moving your mouth. I tend to practice this sort of stuff in public, so yelling very loudly is not really a great option for me. But what I do is I'll do the forced exhale, and when I get towards the end, then I'll start counting. It doesn't have to be counting, you can even talk, all right? And that action of trying to talk, to count, is gonna continue to contract not just your diaphragm, but all your other support muscles and expand that range of function that your diaphragm has. So I'm gonna zoom in here, and that way you can see what my face is doing, and we'll do one more of those. All right. So time to look cute for the camera, right? So big inhale, maximal exhale, and when I start running out of air, I'm gonna start counting from 1 to 10. That second exhale was a much more, we'll say, forceful contraction of all the muscles through my rib cage, in the diaphragm, in my neck. All of those muscles are working a lot harder because I have we'll call it an aid to help continue contraction. Rather than thinking about contracting those muscles further, you're thinking instead about counting. And if you're thinking about trying to count so people can hear, so you can hear, you're going to naturally contract those muscles harder. And doing this will help expand the range that your diaphragm works in. You'll be able to use a fuller volume of your lungs than just than what you normally use. Especially if you're normally a shallow breather, that diaphragm expands a very, very small amount. It's not working very much. So it forgets how to expand and contract to full range. That's one of the benefits of practicing these massive inhales and massive exhales, is you're expanding the range your diaphragm can work on. The other thing that's really handy is there are a lot of support muscles through your ribs that you rely on for breathing, and these muscles are chronically tight in most of us, and these forced exhales also help reopen those muscles, right? That contraction brings in fresh blood and nutrients. It reminds your nervous system that those muscles can operate in different ranges of motion than they're used to working in these days. So practice these forced exhales. It will improve your performance when you're working hard, like running, climbing mountains, if you're out here doing the stuff that Coloradans do. If you're swimming, all this stuff, it's gonna help expand the range of lung capacity that you already have. General recommendation here, I like to start off something real intense like this with just 1 or 2 reps initially and expand up to, maybe a 10 or 15 minute training session with rest in between of like 20 to 30 reps. That way you're not like diving straight in and really crushing all these muscles that aren't used to this straight out of the gate. Give them some time to adjust, give your nervous system some time to adjust, and build up to stronger contractions and more reps over time. No need to go in and murder yourself on day 1. That's not fun. That's not how you build a new habit. So make this pleasant for yourself and enjoy the process. But like I said, I picked this little tip up from the book Breathe. It's a really cool read. At the end, if you get the Kindle version like I did, there's links to all of the techniques he talks about in the book. So it's a really, really good way to get exposure to a lot of these other techniques to improve your breathing. Also, I have a practical breathwork course on my website that is available to you guys if you would like to check that out. I think the price is $70 right now, something like that. Anywho, that is also an option. But if you liked the video, smash that thumbs up. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching with me today. If you have questions, share them down in the comments down below. And if you know somebody who can benefit from this video, shoot it over to them, share it with them. If you haven't already subscribed, please consider subscribing. I really appreciate each and every one of you who watch my videos. That's really, why I do this. But until next time, keep breathing and keep your life in motion. Bye, bud.